What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are going to check out the Generator 120 Mark III from Revv Amplification. Let's do it. What's up you guys? Hope everybody's doing great. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of checking out the Revv Generator 120 Mark III. Revv actually sent this amp to me to demo, which I still am kind of just in a little bit of shock because I'm just some little idiot nobody YouTuber guy, and they were kind enough to offer it to me. I did not even have to ask them. They offered to send this to me to review it on my channel and give my honest opinions on it. So that to me says a lot about the company as far as how cool they are, how excited they are to get their product out into the world and have people try it, and that they would trust it in my hands is honestly an honor. So I gotta say thank you, Derrick. I really appreciate you making this happen for me. This is really cool, and I've really been looking forward to doing this review since I got the amp. Actually have not plugged into this thing until yesterday and turned it up. Yesterday, I used the clean channel for the Gallagher Fish and Drive demo and a little bit of channel 3. So you guys are basically gonna get my first impressions of this amp because I really have not dove into everything that this amp has to offer as far as tones and stuff like that. This amp is extremely feature rich. It's got all sorts of awesome options, including stereo 2 notes, torpedo, recording outs, which is amazing. Built-in virtual cab sims. You've got a million features across the front here. There's so much to dive into, but a lot of guys have already done that. And you guys know that that's not really what I do. I don't give you overviews of the product. I kind of just plug in, see what kind of tones I can get out of it, and explain to you guys what it is that I'm hearing in the room. So I told Revv that kind of would be my shtick, and they said, dude, go ahead, do your thing. So thank you guys for allowing me to just kind of have some freedom with this demo and do what I do best, which is play poorly through really cool amps. What you guys heard initially was the amp on channel 3 or the purple channel on the blue aggression mode, no boosts, and built-in gate engaged. The amp is on, it's loud, but it's like completely silent right now. So the built-in gate on this thing, honestly, right off the bat, awesome. Awesome job on that, guys. It seems like it's coming after the preamp signal, so it's muting all of the preamp hiss and noise. So let's turn that off. That's no gate. Gate. They did a great job on the gate. Gate sounds fantastic. So, all right, so first off, guys, I want to do an extremely deep dive into this clean channel. Just kidding. This is Belligerent Amateur Power Chord Central. We don't do cleans here. Sorry, Revv, we're skipping past the cleans. We're gonna go right to channel 2, which is the green channel, which is a crunch channel. We're gonna put everything at noon. I don't have any boosts on because the amp, honestly, does not need it on either channel. The aggression modes really tighten this thing up, and we'll kick a boost on at some point, but it really seemed like it did better without. So that's probably primarily how we will run this thing. We're on the green channel. All of the controls are at noon. Gain is at 9 o'clock, and here's how we sound right now. It's basically clean. And also the gate apparently is programmable to whatever channel you're on. I'm used to really simple old school analog amps, so some of these features, even for me as a younger guy, I'm gonna have to get used to. But yeah, we've got the gate on, and it's basically a clean channel at this point, so let's bump that gain to noon. Now we got some now we got some breakup going. Okay, nice and kind of bright and chimey. Let's turn that gain up to 3 o'clock, see how much saturation we get out of that. Decent. We're still heavily in the crunch territory as far as tones go, but it's getting fairly saturated. Let's dime that gain. Okay, so if you're doing like a pop punk thing or post-hardcore or shoegaze or something like that, this channel is a nice platform for those type of tones where it's crunchy, but it's still clear and defined. It's a little bit more modern. It's not like a Marshall crunch. It's kind of got its own thing going on. So I bet you this with some pedals would be really cool. Let's kick on a boost real quick. We'll do the Mesa Grid Slammer, see how well it takes up drive out front. So that sounds pretty good. What I've noticed with this amp is when you push the front end, it kind of thins it out a lot. So I don't know exactly what's going on in the circuit that happens, but it seems to happen on all 3 channels. The amp is already tight and it's already got a pretty modern feel to it, so it doesn't really need too much of a push in that regard. But if you're a guy that likes to put boosts out front to kind of color their tone a little bit, you might find your results a little bit disappointing there. So that's just my take so far. Okay, so that's the Grid Slammer. Let's turn on my favorite, the Deadweald Duality. So it actually reacts pretty good to that one on this channel. Let's turn the treble down and the bright switch on and see how that affects things. So on channel 2, it doesn't seem to have that much of an effect. Just adds a little bit more chime up top. Okay, we drew the mids back a little bit with the bright switch on. So it sounds pretty cool like that. Let's push the mids up and pull the treble back. All right, let's get the depth and the presence going. We're gonna push the depth up and the presence up, see how that sounds. All right, let's pull that gain back a little bit. That seems to fatten the amp up a little bit and kind of give it like this overdriven, crunchy low end thing that I'm not in love with. All right, that sounds pretty good. That's nice and clear. This channel is pretty cool. It seems like you can get a good amount of versatility out of it. Let's really scoop those mids, bring the highs back up. So it seems like there's quite a bit of sweep in those EQ pots for sure. That's nice because that gives you, although it makes it a little touchier to dial in, that gives you a wide spread of how many tones are available to you. So let's go over to the blue channel on no aggression, no switches engaged. We'll do a couple quick riffs there. Put the presence and depth back to noon. All right, so there we are. No boost, nothing, none of the switches engaged. All right, so not a bad tone to start with. Let's give it a little bit more gain and a little bit more treble and mid. Okay, not bad there either. Let's ump the presence and the depth up and the treble back a little bit. All right, so it still seems to be missing some high-end presence. Let's pump that bright switch in. There we go. That sounds really good. All right, that's a usable tone for me all day. That sounds really nice. It's got kind of a modern thing going on. So let's pull that mid back. Those mids really shape that tone. It makes a big difference where you have that mid position for sure. All right, let's hit the cut switch, see what that does. Seems to take away some of those upper mids, so that could be kind of what's going on there. That would make sense because if it's a cut, it's probably a mid cut. So that actually sounds pretty good with it, but I'm gonna leave it out. And now the fat switch. As you can tell, it makes it really fat. Go figure. Yeah, so that fattens it up quite a bit. You guys know me, that's not what I'm gonna be going after. So let us go into the blue aggression mode and see how that affects things. All right, lots of string clarity here, guys. This amp is really clear. Let's try the red. All right, so that seems to be the tightest and most saturated mode on channel 3 for sure. Seems to add some compression as well. Let's go back to the regular setting. Okay, blue. Blue seems to be the most mild, and it seems to have the most low, and it seems to be the fattest of these settings, and then red is the most aggressive. Awesome. It sounds really good like that. The gain's up around 2 o'clock. Let's pull it back. Let's kick on the duality again. All right, maybe I lied about the boost thing. I probably just didn't have it dialed in right earlier. This sounds really good. That sounds really, really good, guys. It's got a really modern feel to it. Lots of stream clarity, lots of upper mid content. One thing that's really cool about that is I immediately recognize that tone from my purple Revv G3 pedal. So they did a really good job in capturing this actual channel of the amp in that Revv G3 pedal. I know the Revv G4 pedal is based on the older red channel, which was a little bit bigger and looser. So I'm guessing I'll hear similarities, but it'll be a little tighter. But let's jump into that red channel now. Purple channel sounds great, especially with the aggression modes. You really don't even need a boost with this thing, but if you dial it in right, it can still benefit from one for sure. All right, guys, so we are now on the red channel. I have everything at noon on the red channel, and let's hear how that sounds. So definitely a little fuller, a little brighter on the top end, whereas the purple channel almost has like a top end roll off thing going on with a big spike in the high mids. This has more top end, but less mid content, definitely bigger in the lows as well. The gain is at 9 o'clock. Let's bump it up to about noon. All right, so that's very much like a Mesa rectifier, kind of modern American high gain type thing. It's not drastically different in the tonality. It's really more of the kind of EQ stack. All right, so let's try hitting the aggression. We're on the blue aggression now. Okay, so that kind of fattens it up, brings some of those low mids down. It just makes it sound bigger overall and a little less aggressive. Red should be tighter and more aggressive. Okay, so I've never played any of the Revv amps before. This is my first experience. Derrick told me that the red channel on this amp is supposed to be tightened up quite a bit. I would say it's definitely tighter than the pedal that they gave me, but it's still not a tight channel inherently. But I don't think it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be more of like your rectifier, Uberschall, kind of big low end type things. So let's play around with the EQ a little bit. I'm gonna dial in more mids and presence and dial the depth up as well. All right, so that definitely brightens it up quite a bit, but it's still kind of got that fat low end thing going on. Let's hit that bright switch and see how much of an effect that has here. All right, so that brightens it up on the top end quite a bit. Let's hit that cut switch, see what that does. Again, just like the other channel, seems to kind of either shift the mids lower or remove some of the upper mids. And then the fat switch obviously is going to make it sound chunkier. All right, so this channel I could definitely see being used for more of like the hard rock and roll type stuff. You can even, it's pretty fat, so you could probably even use it for like the stoner metal type stuff or doom metal, whatever. It's got a lot of saturation for sure. Gain's only on noon. Let's push that gain a little bit more and see how far it goes. All right, let's see if we can tighten this channel up with a good boost. I'm gonna pull the mids back a little bit, turn that fat switch off, see what we got here. Okay, let's pull that gain back even more. Let's turn the low end up. I've noticed that when you engage a boost in front of this amp, it really kind of compresses everything a lot and the amp reacts really heavily to it. I don't know if I like that or not, we're gonna push the depth up because while it does tighten the amp, it also thins it out significantly. It's kind of crazy how much of a difference it makes. We're gonna pull the mids back a little bit and do a little bit more upper mid. All right, so there's that. Let's push those mids up and then pull the treble back and see how much difference that makes. I like that a lot better. Let's kick in that bright switch. All right, I don't like that. It kind of seems like it's introducing some weird noise in the top end, something interacting with the boost that's just not working very well there. So bass up a little bit more, gain up a little bit more, mids up. Still tons of note separation clarity. The gate is obviously extremely accurate. The amp is dead silent as soon as you stop playing. Let's kick the aggression back into the regular setting. Oh, I think I like that a lot. That seems to open it up a little bit more. Obviously, the red seems to be the most compressed, which I said the same on the purple channel. It seems to be the most open in this setting, so it sounds really good like that with the boost out front. So it definitely seems to have this like low mid thing going on that reminds me of a Wagner, where it almost sounds like really round in the low mids. It's got this like whoa, whoa, whoa type thing when you're palm muting. And the only other amps that I've really heard that on are Wagners. So definitely reminiscent of that. When I talked to Derrick, he said that the red channel was meant to be like a Wagner Überschall rectifier channel, much like I've kind of been describing it, because that's how I hear it. So what we're gonna do real quick, now that we've kind of explored both those channels, we're gonna see how they sound against each other. So here's the purple channel, no boost. We're gonna put everything at noon and switch back and forth between the purple and red. So that was your purple, here's your red. As you can tell, a lot looser, a lot more bass frequencies in the red channel, a lot tighter, a lot more upper mid focus in the purple channel. Back to the purple, turn that gate on. All right, so that's pretty cool. Let's go back here and let's click both into their blue aggression modes. So here's the purple channel blue aggression. Red channel, blue aggression. Pretty much everything I've compared so far between the purple and red still remains true, even on the blue aggression. The same differences are there between the channels. So let's go back to channel 3 and go to red aggression. Red channel, red aggression. The string clarity on this amp, guys, is phenomenal. I am gravitating heavily towards channel 3 just because, as anybody who watches my channel knows, that's kind of where I live tonally anyways, is in that upper mid, tight low end type tone. All right, so back over to 4. Still, excellent string clarity. So yeah, that's the main differences between the two. I would definitely say channel 3 purple is a little bit more fluid feeling. It's a lot more upper mid based. It's tighter in the low end. It's not as broad in the EQ spectrum overall, where channel 4 or the red channel is definitely much more a big, somewhat loose sounding like American high gain tone. So this is kind of almost like a 5150. This is almost kind of like a dual rectifier, but I wouldn't say either of those sound anything like either of those amps. This is very much a very unique sounding amplifier. I've never heard anything that sounds like this other than the pedals, which I said before, Revv, you guys did a great job capturing each individual channel in a $200 pedal. So if you guys are wanting that Revv tone, you can't afford this big boy, get those preamp pedals, the G3 and the G4, because they really are very true and accurate to this amp, to my ear. I may actually do a shootout and try the preamp pedals versus the actual amp itself, if you guys would be interested in that. But yeah, I think that about covers it for my analysis on this amp. It's a really cool amp, very modern high gain, very unique voicing. Lots of really awesome features built into this. I mean, I feel like this is kind of, you know, they're not the first to do the features that are on here, but they've executed them very, very well. I'm gonna do a video where I test out the 2 notes out on the back of this and see how well it records. I'm also gonna put this up against the EVH 5150 Stealth, and then maybe a second amplifier. You guys let me know. I don't know what you guys would wanna hear this against, so please in the comments let me know. Do you wanna see it against a Mesa Badlander? Do you wanna see it against a Diesel Herbert? Do you wanna see it against the my KSR Orthos? Let me know what you would like me to compare this to other than the 5150, just because that's such a common tone. Everybody's really gonna be able to see how this differentiates from something that they already know pretty well. Yeah, otherwise, Revv, thanks again. Seriously, I can't believe that you guys sent me this amp. I'm really happy with it. I'm having a lot of fun. The features on here are really fun. I feel like I actually haven't done it justice, and I need to dig into the amp more just because there's so much going on with it. It's not an amp that you sit on top of your cab and you just dial in immediately. There's lots of really cool options, and to see how everything interacts. You know, I really feel like a little bit of time is needed to really figure this thing out and make it shine. But as it is now, really great amp. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you went down, hit that like button on your way out, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss all the other stuff I'm gonna do with this awesome thing. Hopefully we'll see you guys on the next one. I'd really appreciate it. So Kyle here, hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was helpful, and we'll see you guys next time.